learning how to work with and care for the dogs, mixing with the other handlers, learning from the trainers. Static erupted from the cruiser's radio, followed by the dispatcher's voice. K91, copy. Mattie noted her position. She was approaching the Waterhole Bar and Grill. She picked up the transmitter and pressed it on. 5th Street in Maine, go ahead. Rainbow Anderson, the daughter of 2 hippies who'd settled in Timber Creek sometime during the 60s, and the county's improbable dispatcher, responded. K91, we need you to respond to a 1088 in progress. Well, it's not in progress this very minute, but, well, I guess you would call this a 1088 that already happened. Over. What suspicious activity? Where? Just say it, Rainbow. Up Ute Canyon Road about 10 miles, a forest ranger called in a request to investigate suspicious activity and a blood spill. A blood spill? Hunting out of season? I'm en route to Timber Creek High School to meet with Sheriff McCoy. What's my priority? Oh, the meeting's canceled. Sorry I didn't call you, but I didn't know you were going too. Sheriff McCoy's heading up the canyon now. Okay. Go Code 2 up Ute Canyon Road. 10 miles from Ute Canyon turnoff, look for a 2-track that veers left and leads to an old hunting cabin. Mattie signaled a right turn so she could head for the highway. The sheriff obviously thought this could be something important. Copy. Show me en route to Ute Canyon. Over. Code 2 meant normal response without emergency lights and siren, but she quickly brought the cruiser up to speed. Sheriff McCoy might want her to search for evidence. If so, the sooner she got there, the better, before any of her fellow deputies could unwittingly contaminate the crime scene. The dread she'd been feeling all morning changed to excitement. This would be her first canine assignment since the academy, and she couldn't wait to get started. Robo huffed a quick bark. In the rearview mirror, Mattie saw him wag his tail and shift from side to side on his front paws. He must have caught hold of my mood. You know you're going to work, don't you? Robo whined, licked the air, and stared out the windshield. At the academy, he'd outperformed all the other dogs. The few times he'd screwed up, it had been her fault. Doing things like not paying close enough attention to his body language, or not trusting his instincts. It seemed like she needed training more than Robo. Nervousness tightened her shoulders. The others would be watching. That put pressure on a dog, not to mention the handler, and it could be distracting. The cruiser ate up the miles, and they reached the turnoff to Ute Canyon Road in no time. Leaving the smooth highway behind, she turned onto a hard-packed dirt road covered with loose gravel. It led upward into a canyon that cut through the mountains. She slowed for sharp curves, holding the steering wheel steady as the cruiser rattled over rough areas ribbed with washboard. Willow and mountain juniper gave way to forests of towering pine, ponderosa with their sweeping boughs and great stands of stately lodgepole. She rolled down the front windows so she could take in the soothing forest scent to help settle her nerves. Robo pushed forward to sniff, thrusting his nose through the heavy wire mesh that separated his compartment from the rest of the vehicle. He bobbed his head, obviously getting a noseful. She could tell from the satisfied look on his face that Robo enjoyed the scent of the forest as much as she did. Mattie kept checking the odometer while Ute Canyon climbed ever upward. 5 miles into the canyon, huge potholes threatened to swallow a wheel entirely. She steered around them, keeping to the middle of the road when she could. Leaving the canyon floor, the road clung to the side of the mountain and rose toward the peaks. Its edge, where there was rarely any guardrail, dropped off in a 50-foot plunge. By the time the odometer indicated she'd driven 9 miles from the turnoff, the road narrowed to little more than 1 lane. She started up a steep rise, keeping watch for a 2-track road that would veer off to the left. She hoped she hadn't missed it. At the top of the rise, she could see dense evergreen forest that stretched for miles and miles in an undulating mountain panorama. 100 yards farther, she spotted the 2-track winding